So let's say you get pulled over by the police for a minor traffic infraction and you think everything is going well. But just as you are about to pull off, the police officer asks you to search your vehicle. Now, you know this is a vehicle that you drive often, and you know that there's nothing illegal in the vehicle. So there's no contraband, there's no drugs, there's nothing in there. Now the question becomes, should you consent to a search of your vehicle when you have nothing to hide? I am criminal defense attorney Hannah Akintoye, and if you have ever heard any piece of advice from a criminal defense attorney, it is to never consent to a search of your vehicle. So today's topic is going to deviate from that just a little bit, because now I'm talking to the individuals who know that they don't have anything crazy in their car. They know that they don't have any contraband or anything illegal in there, but they're considering consenting to a search of their vehicle because they simply just want to get the encounter done and over with, or they just have nothing to hide, and so it's really not a big deal for them. And so if you are ever in that situation, there are a number of things that you really strongly want to consider before ever consenting to a search of your vehicle. The first thing is, do you regularly search your vehicle? When was the last time you searched your own vehicle? Now, I know that a lot of people get their cars detailed, they get their cars cleaned or washed regularly, but when was the last time you actually did a full-blown search of your vehicle? Because if you do not search your own vehicle, then how do you know what an officer is going to find if they search your vehicle? Now, I know that this may sound crazy, but a lot of people have unrealistic expectations of what it really means for a police officer to search your vehicle. It's not the typical thing that you see on the television where the police officer pops open your trunk, looks around, takes a flashlight and says, okay, you're good to go. No, it's oftentimes a lot more in depth than that. Be prepared for the police officer to pull open the floorboards of your vehicle if they are truly conducting a search of your vehicle. Sometimes police officers may do a scanty search of your car, but oftentimes if they are asking to search your vehicle, they are looking for drugs, contraband, and other illegal items. And those items are usually going to be in hard to find places in your vehicle. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not remember the last time that I physically opened the floorboards to my own vehicle. And I don't know that a lot of people make it a habit or a practice to do that. And so the next question that you're going to probably want to ask yourself is, where did you get your vehicle from and who drives your vehicle regularly? Is your vehicle new? Is it used? Is it a rental car or not? Because even if you have, for instance, a used vehicle, maybe you bought it from a mom and pop car dealership, or maybe you bought it off of somebody, I don't know, on Craigslist. But let's say you do have a used car. Do you know what the previous owner did with the car? Do you know where things could have been hidden in that vehicle if the previous owner had items to actually had in the vehicle? These are things that normal people don't really think about or consider. But the reason why I am bringing it up is because you will be surprised at how many things come out of vehicles, and people are shocked to find out that those things actually came from their own vehicle that they drive every day. So the second thing that you will want to consider is who is going to reorganize your items. Because if a police officer is searching through your items, I guarantee you that they are not reorganizing your items back into your vehicle for you. So if you're a person who holds lots of papers, if you have clothes in your car, if you have just sensitive items that you don't want people around or you don't want people touching, trust and believe that a police officer is going to go through all of that if they are truly conducting a search of your car. And then you also want to think about what items you have in your vehicle that could be destroyed or damaged. Now, yes, Does it happen that police officers rummage through your stuff? Absolutely. It happens more often than not. They're not going to be folding your clothes back into your vehicle, and they're not going to be reorganizing your papers back into the folders that they were in. So think about where your items are going to go. If you are pulled over and you are by the side of the road, the only place for your items to go, if a police officer is searching your items, is on the ground next to your vehicle. It's going to be outside on the floor with the dirt, with the grass, whatever is there outside. So think about how you are going to reorganize your items and whether or not you care if those items are damaged or destroyed. Now, the third thing that you may want to consider when consenting to a search of your vehicle is whether or not you have any items in your car that may be considered a weapon. Now, yes, you may not have a gun in there or anything of that nature, but what about the simple things that you carry every day that may be considered a weapon to a police officer? For example, are you a gentleman who carries around a utility knife or a pocket knife? Are you a woman who maybe carries around mace that is disguised as lip gloss? What about the person who is into arts and crafts? You have a pair of scissors in your center console. What about the screwdriver and the tools that you leave in your car in case there is an emergency? Will any of those items be considered dangerous or a weapon to a police officer? In that case, you may be held up a little bit longer than you anticipated if there is a potential for there to be a weapon in your vehicle. And so when you're consenting to a search, think about all of these possibilities. I know that oftentimes people just want to consent to get the search done and over with, or they're consenting because they're really concerned that the officer is going to get upset or angry, or the situation may get a little bit confrontational because you refuse the search. But we live in an America where we have constitutional rights. You have the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. And so if somebody makes you feel uncomfortable about those rights, if somebody bullies you into giving up those rights, is that the precedent that you want to set? There is nothing wrong with asserting your rights. If you do not want to consent to a search, you don't have to. If the officer had probable cause to search your vehicle, then they would have just searched anyway. So if they are asking for your consent to search your vehicle, then it is very likely that they do not have the probable cause needed to just go ahead and conduct the search anyway. Now, I know that people are also concerned that, if you don't consent to the search, then they're going to search your vehicle anyway, and they're still going to violate your rights, and then they're going to destroy your items. But what if you consented to the search and they did the same thing anyway? You really have to think about what the harm is in refusing a search that you just may not feel like engaging in. Now, if you just have a lot of time on your hands and you want to spend extra time with a police officer and you want to consent to the search, that is also well within your rights. But you also want to weigh all the possibilities and think about whether or not the decision that you are making is in your best interest before you make it. Now, I want to make clear that I am not saying that all cops are bad, and I'm not saying that you should give police officers a hard time by any means necessary. That is what I am not saying. But what I am saying is that I come from a very unique background, and I have encountered a number of individuals who have just been honest people with police officers, who truly had nothing to hide and who truly did not intend to do anything wrong. But they still ended up in a jammed up situation, or they still ended up arrested because their actions were in fact against the law. And you don't know that unless you talk to a criminal defense attorney regularly. And I'll give you an example. I had a client who came into Washington, D.C., where my law office is located, and was just visiting for a short period of time. And this person encountered a police officer and just struck up a normal conversation with that police officer. And during the course of the conversation, that police officer asked to search his belongings. And he, too, had nothing to hide, and he consented to the search. It turned out that he did not realize that he had a hunting knife in his belongings. Now, this was a knife that he didn't realize was there because he carried it often due to the sentimental value that it had based upon the person that gave it to him. And so now he was a person in a very secure area, right? This is an area where we have the Capitol, we have the White House, and a lot of important places, right? And he had a hunting knife on him. And what ended up happening is, unfortunately, he was a nice person, but he had to be arrested. And this gentleman was arrested for a felony dangerous weapon offense. And imagine being in a situation where you were just being polite, you were just being honest, and you just consented to a search just to get it over with, or just because the police officer asked nicely, and you didn't think anything was going to happen, and now you end up arrested. It would be an extreme shame if you ended up in those circumstances. So it's really important that you consider all the options that are available to you before you just say, oh, well, I have nothing to hide. Because last time I checked, most people are not out here consulting with criminal defense attorneys regularly to see if the actions that they are exhibiting on a daily basis is against the law. Most people don't wake up in the morning expecting to go to jail or expecting to be arrested when they don't intend to do anything wrong. But it does happen. And unfortunately, quite often that people get arrested for minor mistakes that turn out to be legal violations. So put that all into consideration when you are deciding whether or not to consent to a search. As always, if you have any questions, you are always welcome to message me here, or you can message me on my website, mydclaw.com, and I'm always happy to chat with you further. Take care, and I'll see you soon.